One. Hi, folks. You're watching and listening to a very special edition of Open Bar. Mike Morales here in Southern California. That gentleman out there is.
I'm Bryce Taylor in Austin, Texas.
For those of you who are big followers of Bryce on Instagram and Facebook, he is the head of the Austin Tequila Connoisseurs in Austin, Texas. I moved from San Antonio just a year ago. This September, we're recording this in September. You may not see it till 2022. Had I known, that we were close enough to, I may have been on your porch one day, on your back porch and done something together, but that didn't work out. So,
Yeah.
Pandemic and everything, the way that worked out. Bryce is here because he is going to, this is his final for the Consumer Catador course, which he has taken. He took it for off and on. It took him about a year, and that's cool because it's self-paced. And if you hadn't seen Bryce's interview about why he took the course, we discuss the ins and outs and that kind of thing. And again, we really appreciate him taking the time to take a deeper dive into the tequila tasting and being an aware consumer, which is really basically the bottom line of what Lisa and I at Tequila Aficionado wanted to put together. But today is Bryce's final. And for those of you who watch Bryce break down these wonderful, beautiful tequilas, Bryce today is going to break down El Tequila. And, I sprung this on him on purpose, and I'm going to confess why. I know that having watched Bryce in the past, a few of his reviews, I knew that he was a seasoned palate. I understood that. He was getting some really great tequilas, the stuff like G4 and Tequileño, the other lines of Tequileño. But with Tequila Aficionado and our TJs, we get thrown, a lot of us, we have 10 tasters now throughout the United States and one in the UK. And we get thrown a lot of curveballs and a lot of other agave spirits that are coming online. And we don't just do tequila, but we do mezcals and raicillas and sotols. And I asked Bryce, one of my questions to him was, are you experimenting now with mezcals? And he's just now touching it. And I think he's really preferring to stay in his own lane. So I said, okay. So I kind of sprung this on you, not because I didn't think that you would know what this is, because I knew that you knew what this is. But I have yet to see you break down a mixto, and I'm not sure if you have or not.
I don't believe so.
Okay, so here we go. What kind of instructor would I be if I didn't throw you a curveball? Okay, so as you do on your show, on your videos, walk me through El Tequileño. Okay, walk me through something that maybe the average person has not tasted ever. For those of you who are familiar with Tequileño, this is a mixto from El Tequileño Distillery, which is known for some beautiful tequilas. And I think Bryce, you've done several of theirs, probably all the ones that we've done. And this one is famous because it has been known. It was the best kept secret in Mexico, because this is the core liquid for the Batanga cocktail, which was developed at La Capilla. Have you had a chance to go to La Capilla? Did you ever go?
Oddly enough, when we were in tequila, we didn't. So that is on my next trip.
The next trip. Okay.
Yeah.
That is one of the pilgrimages that you must make. It is the oldest tequila bar in Tequila. Sadly, the proprietor has passed away now. It's been a year, maybe a year and a half, but the bar continues. So anyway, this is the core juice that he used for the cocktail, the Batanga. But connoisseurs that we are, Bryce is going to walk me through how would you walk me through this juice had I never ever had it outside of the cocktail.
Okay. Yeah. So first off, we've got the bottle here. Like you said, typically I do 100%, agave. Tequilas. It's not going to be on the bottle. And so what that means is at least you still have to have at least 51%, the sugars to make the alcohol come from agave. Now knowing their distillery, I know they're much more in like the 80-20 range, 80% agave. So it's not a mixto in the sense of it's just, 51% agave and then the 49 is, corn syrup or, sugar cane. So it is a mixed dough, but once again, it's a lot higher with the agave content there. One thing I do appreciate is since I hadn't opened it, and since it is a screw top, I don't have to mess with the
the cork.
It makes it look bad on camera because they're all very difficult for some reason.
Yeah.
So yeah, first thing, I would just start by.
We actually break them off camera because they're otherwise just 20 minutes of us fussing with it. So
Yeah, looking like you've never done it before. Yeah, so next is going to be glassware. I'm using the Stazzle, the Jarrito from Chisholm Trail Craft Glasses. You can use, a lot of people have the Glencairns,
right.
And then Riedel makes the Overture glass, which looks like the champagne flute, but which I actually really like, but they're a little more to handle and they get in the way.
Yeah, especially if you got big hands and fingers like I do. So
I'll go ahead and pour some here. So I like to pour, about an ounce or so. And then in the glass, I'll just kind of, you can swirl it a little bit, but I'm not trying to agitate it. So, you can even just spin it and you're kind of rotate it in your hands. And the reason why I do that is you just want the tequila here to kind of cling onto the glass. And then what I'm looking for is, you have tiers and legs, and you can see, how long it takes to develop, how long it takes to come down the side of the glass. The reason you do that is it kind of gives you a hint as maybe how viscous it is, how thick it is. And the more viscous or thick a product is you're probably more likely to get a lot of character and finish as opposed to, a watery spirit. So yeah, it's still got good legs and everything. I'm surprised because, like I said, I hadn't really done this with a mixto, so I don't know what to expect. But after that, I'd nose the spirit, essentially, get all the aromas out of it. I've been doing it a while, so I kind of know where my depth is.
Right.
But if you're just starting, just start a little farther out. And then if you get a kind of a sharp, the alcohol vapors, then, kind of back off. But I just know where it is for me normally. And then also, given day-to-day allergies or whatever, sometimes you'll have one nostril works a little better. And so, I know you do this a lot as well, but kind of. So, overall, I just start with my impressions, and then as things come to mind, then I start kind of dissecting it, what I'm getting out of it. So I get the agave, which is good. Like I said, it's a mixed dose. I didn't know how strong that agave would be. It does seem like it's going to be sweeter agave, and maybe that, which I get that from 100% agave tequilas as well. But it could also be from that other sugar product because it seems just a little different. But I also know they use an autoclave, which to me gives a little more rounded product. So it could be from that as well. And then it's kind of an herbal, get some herbal notes. And then just a hint of anise there on the trail, and kind of on the back end, which kind of fades into a little bit of a pepper. And so once I have, what I think is a good idea of, all the scents I'm getting, I then kind of taste. I hadn't had any spirits today, so my first sip, I just kind of let it encompass my palate. I don't swish it around, but I allow it to get between my teeth and gums, under my tongue, even cheeks, things like that. Let that kind of alcohol do its thing, and it actually deadens your palate to a little bit to make it easier for that second sip. You can really start getting the flavors out of that. So I'll just go ahead and do that.
Yeah, normally we call that priming the pump. And I think we cover that in the course, that a lot of people think that you're only dealing with your tongue, but when you are a seasoned taster, everything, the whole this whole orifice here, this whole is part of your job to be able to help you dissect. So as Bryce was saying, the top of your palate, your cheeks, your gum, underneath the tongue, all of it counts. And that's really what it requires to take a lot more time with any spirit. I mean, anything.
Yeah. So from there, I kind of have like a little hint of what I'm going to get out of it. But my next sip is when I really start kind of reviewing it. Another thing I do that I guess I don't talk about unless I'm guiding a tasting is I'll always kind of inhale before I take a sip, and then after I swallow, I exhale in case there are any vapors. It's not going down your throat and you're getting that burn. So kind of like the college shot to where you throw it in and then you swallow right away and then you breathe fire. A lot of that's just those vapors. So you can get around that pretty easily.
Even that technique takes practice.
Now, also, I don't know where I picked this up. I don't know if it's when I was drinking like high proof whiskeys. I'll actually kind of inhale like while I'm sipping, kind of pull some oxygen through the product.
Right.
I probably need to know more about that, but I find that helps me get more flavors out of it as well. Yeah. So I still get a lot of agave, which is great. Like I said, it's it's a mixed dough. I do get a sweetness that is different to me. Like I said, I think it's coming from that other sugar source, and then all of their products are a high pressure autoclave, which to me always kind of gives it a more round feeling in the mouth. So I think it's the combo of that autoclave and the additional sugar. But yeah, still, it's pretty much matches up with the nose, which I really like. Because sometimes you get one nose and it tastes totally different. But so getting the cooked agave, that sweetness, and then just same thing, herbal, and then it goes into just a hint of pepper at the end, and the finish is, I'd call it like a short finish, but overall the product is flavorful. I can still taste it in my mouth, not so much my esophagus or down my throat or anything, but it's still packed with flavor, and that's probably where that viscosity helps. That keeps that flavor sticking around. So after that, if I were doing written tasting notes, I probably honestly drink about 2 ounces to get all of my notes, because I go back and forth. I'll do it all for the nose and then all for the the palate. So I would spend more time just kind of sipping, because sometimes you think you get something and then you're like, well, is it this? And then I'd go back and kind of check and be like, no, it's not. It's more this. Yeah. And so I'd kind of just take it from there. Ask other people kind of what their thoughts, feelings were about it. Normally, also, I'll go through the process, on how they make it. And like I've been talking about their autoclave, and the reason it matters is because you'll learn where some of the flavors come from, like what part of the process, whether it's the water, or the type of still, or fermentation. I know at this distillery, I mean, they've got concrete tanks or vats.
Oh yeah.
Which is very different. So
are they below ground? Do they use gravity? In other words, are the vats below ground or above ground?
I don't know. Yeah, I hadn't been there, but but also they've got copper stills, which I really like.
Yeah.
Yeah. So overall, yeah, I'm surprised. I could see why this would be perfect for the Batanga, because to me that's the Mexican version of like a rum and coke, and
Yep.
and I do get that sugar sweetness that I could see. Hey, this would be perfect, with coke and the lime. If you haven't had a Batanga, go get one.
Yeah. When you make yours, do you make yours with 100% with 100% agave, or?
Yeah, the only time I've really made it is I was using the Tequila, but it's their platinum or
Oh,
what?
they're platinum, yeah.
Yeah, they're 100% agave blanco.
Yeah, this is uh, what's funny I guess we have a little bit of time for me to give you a little bit of a story, but when I first visited Tequila, it was before there were any tours. There were like 35 of us who belonged to the Blue Agave Forum,
Oh, yeah.
and one night we're coming. One of our first nights, we're coming back, and we're at the hotel, and some guy says, "Hey, you guys need to go visit this. This is the oldest bar in Tequila, and it's almost 11 o'clock. There's nobody on the streets. The streets are dark." And I said, "Do you really want to go there? We don't know it. I grew up in L.A., so it's like if there's a dark street, man, we're not going anywhere,
Yeah.
And but we were all walking together, and the gentleman, the owner of the bar, kept it open for us, and we were there till about 1 in the morning. And unbeknownst to us, we were visiting La Capilla before it was famous, and the owner was there making drinks, and this was he what he was using to make it. And we asked him why, and he said, well, because and he's tried others. He says, but this one is the one that, because for those of you who are not familiar with a batanga, it's made with Mexican Coke, which uses real sugar and lime, and then he likes to stir his with a knife, and it was part of the whole process, the whole thing. And you can probably catch that video everywhere. Everybody tries to keep it the way, I believe his name was Don Sergio, kept it the same way, the same process. And the reason is El Tequileño, I know you mentioned this was an 80-20. I believe originally it was a 70-30. It could be 80-20. What we mean is it's not a 51-49, so it has more agave in it, but the other sugars is piloncillo, which is kind of a caramelized brown sugar that's familiar in Mexico. So that unusual sweetness you were getting that you couldn't place, that's the piloncillo, which when you mix it with the Mexican Coke,
Yeah.
and then you cut that over sweetness with a little bit of a lime, and you're good to go.
Yeah.
And so now you understand what there was a whole method to this madness when Tequileño made this, and it's been in Jalisco. It was like the go-to mixto always. I remember when I first started getting into tequila, I didn't have a whole lot of money, and we were looking for some tequilas to buy, and I ran into one called Viuda de Romero that used to be sold at an Asian market, and I loved it. And come to find out, years later, that was a mixto, and it was as solid as any 100% I ever had. So it was at least 70-30, and of course, back then the quality of the agave was way better than what we're getting now. And Bryce and I kind of discussed that earlier on in this interview, about the steps we need to take to preserve the industry in general. The industry is going to argue that they don't need us, but they do.
Yeah.
Because here comes a lot more agave spirits. It's flooding the market, and it's taking a bite out of the tequila industry, and they know it. But anyway, what would you give a score for this? Would this be something you'd recommend to people maybe just getting started into tequila and not wanting to spend a whole lot of money, or what would you, or is it more cocktail forward for you, because you're kind of a cocktail guy too? So
Yeah, I could go both ways. I mean, definitely the cocktail. This would be great. Like those sweeter cocktails. So I'm thinking like the Paloma, the Batanga.
oh yeah.
I like more sharp agave, like in a margarita. So I'd probably still stick with 100% agave for that.
Yeah.
But pretty much any other cocktail, I would definitely recommend this for. But I also think this would be good for beginners to sip on, because it's not it's not overly sharp or agave forward. Of course, in the States, it still has to be, the 40%, to where I know in Mexico, theirs is 37, 38 or something.
Something like that. Yeah.
But like with that other sugar source, it is a little sweeter, and it might be a good, gateway into sipping tequila. And also, I kind of like that it is a good mixto, because I think the reason, the term mixto was looked down on is, you had the Jose Cuervo Gold.
Yeah.
And then everyone learned, oh, it's a mixto. And then so they just associated the two. And you're like, that it's not necessarily, correct. Yes, that is a bad mixto, but that doesn't mean all mixtos are bad. So,
No.
Yeah.
Some of them are very worthy of being tasted and picked up and used, and this is certainly one of them. I'm hoarding this one because I never know when. Sometimes I just feel like and I sip mine. I very rarely ever. Do you ever make? Are you making more cocktails these days, or are you still strictly a sipper?
Yeah, for myself, I'm strictly a sipper. I make my wife cocktails. She loves margaritas, so I get to experiment, and then I try them and hand them to her. So we both benefit.
Would she appreciate a batanga? Has she had any?
I think she tried mine. I think she likes that a lot better than the Paloma. She's not big into the grapefruit, but yeah.
With the Texas Ruby Red, oh my gosh!
Oh yeah, I love it. It's my favorite behind a margarita.
Excellent. Well, Bryce, I got nothing else except congratulations. You graduate. You made the cut, big guy. No, you're right. Like I had any doubt. It's funny because I sent Bryce an email yesterday and I said, hey, I got some tequila waiting for you. And he was all awesome. And I thought, oh my God, he's going to hate me when I throw this curveball at him. Because what did you think when you drove? Because it was ready to be picked up when you drove by. When you saw it, what did you think?
No, it made sense because you put a line in there. You're like, well, after we're done, you can use it in batangas.
Oh, yeah.
I knew it was El Tequileño. I didn't know which one. Actually, the mixto didn't come into my mind. I thought it was going to be the regular, the platinum. I thought you were just going on a brand, but no. Then once I opened, I was like, oh, that's perfect. So, yeah, I thought you were going to try and trick me to see if I would know if it was a mixto, and I was like, no, that's not.
Come on, that's a rookie move, man. Come on, give me a little bit more credit.
I know.
I really appreciate you playing ball with us because I knew that you would. Like I say, I had previously watched Bryce, dissect some of the really, flavorful tequilas that may be hard to find or hard to get, or from different flavor profiles from the same distillery. But I knew that this one, like I said, what kind of instructor would I be if I didn't throw you a curveball, man? Yeah. Congratulations, this was beautiful. You did it. I expected nothing less from you, and you came through with flying colors. So I will make sure you get your diploma shortly, and you can hang it on your wall or toss it up on the roof or whatever. But great job, man. This is excellent. Anything else you want to add to this before we sign off on you?
No, I would just recommend, picking up the book, it's self-paced, so, nothing wrong with, just starting it, whether you just read through it, do the homework or not, definitely, start with doing the homework, like the tastings, just because that helps solidify that, that education. And so, I highly recommend it. So,
you heard it here first.
Yeah,
reach out to us. Tequila connoisseur himself. Bryce, thank you so much for playing ball with us. Congratulations again. You are officially the second Catador that we have graduated. Congratulations. As far as I'm concerned, you're the guy. You know what? Hopefully, I'm hoping to be able to put together some kind of big tasting where we do the blind tasting. And I know you and I discussed the techniques between blind tastings. Blind tasting will up your game even higher. So I'm hoping that maybe somewhere in 2022, once you know, once the third or fourth or fifth booster shot, you know, whatever kills this thing happens, that you're definitely on my Catador list, because I think you would add some valid points to whatever tasting we would do. Again, congratulations, Bryce. Thank you for playing ball. Thank you for taking the time with us. I appreciate it. I'm Mike Morales here in Southern California. That guy out there is
Bryce Taylor out of Austin, Texas.
You've been watching and listening to a very special edition of Open Bar with Bryce Taylor, who has just graduated from the Consumer Catador course. For those consumers who are kind of considering, you know, maybe on the fence, listen to him. He surprised the hell out of me. I'm very grateful that he took the course, because I guess we're on the right track. But whatever you folks do, tomar sabiamente, sip wisely, and we will catch up with you later. Thanks for watching.